We got to focus on activities. How many contacts should we be making every day? How many social media posts should we be engaging with every week? How much new content for my blog? How many promotional videos am I shooting every single day? What are my goals around that? And am I doing it every single week? Business leadership. And leadership is an interesting thing when we're leading in real estate. There are so many different ways to lead organizations, right? I mean, even the solo agent is in business for themselves. The real estate team leader is running an organization of other people, does their own organization. You have the broker owner, the broker manager, runs an entire brokerage. You have people that are running organizations, like let's go back to the solo agent running an organization with their family where they operate like a team. And it's really interesting. We discount that and say, no, I mean, I'll tell you, if you're having, a battle with a spouse over how much you're working, the team's not aligned. You don't have buy-in. Someone's doing something wrong. You're either working enough or you're not working, or you're working too much. There's problems with organizations that way. You've got teams with loan officers, title officers, closers. You've got teams in every different way. So leadership in real estate's hard to avoid. It is hard to be a follower and not want to be a leader and succeed in an industry that is chock full of positions that require leadership. From the independent contractor, solo agent, all the way up to broker owners and everything in between. I don't even know if that's going up. I mean, there could be lateral. I mean, I know a lot of solo agents and real estate team leaders make a lot more than broker owners. But the better leaders are the ones that succeed. And when markets fluctuate, industries fluctuate, life fluctuates, it's the leaders that pull through and continue to adopt a growth mindset. And that's the important thing to remember. Leadership is growth, and leaders are always looking to grow. And if you're not looking to grow, if it's like, hey, I'm just going to circle the wagons, I'm going to cut costs, and that's all you're doing, no growth at all, no new business, no new personnel, no new market share, and all you're doing is trying to circle the wagons, you're adopting an anti-growth posture. And if you do that, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's the old adage in leadership. So someone that's doing that is actually falling out of leadership and into management. I'm just managing things the way they are, not orchestrating any change whatsoever. That is a very dangerous place to be in because it's a slippery slope. It can spiral right down. Like I said, you're not growing, you're dying, so you're coming down the other way. And you're just trying to hang on to clients, hang on to what you've got, hang on to personnel, hang on to agents, hang on to market share. And then you're just clutching things, and you start clutching too tight, right? Things start slipping through fingers. There's a lot of cliches and adages here I'm using, but you get the idea. Is management is very different than leadership. Leadership is where you're taking people and you're trying to lead them to a new location, like Moses or something. Like you're trying to take your people to a new location. You're leading them someplace. A manager is just trying to manage us in the place we're in and try to maintain. And that's not growing. That's a slow bleed. So it is very important, rather than problem solving as a leader and running around and trying to put fires out everywhere, that instead, of course, we're always going to try to solve problems. But if I tell you, if you focus on problems, you're just going to get more problems. It creates a very scarcity-based mindset where you're constantly trying to manage the current situation. Leaders know to let some of those fires burn and not deal with them right now. They can be aware of them and, maybe fix them on the run. But otherwise, we're going to go. We're just going to move. We're going to grow. We're going to keep trying to generate new business. We're going to keep recruiting new agents. We're going to keep trying to take market share. We're going to keep trying to acquire more listings. We're going to keep opening new businesses and new branches and new systems. We're going to keep moving forward. And that's a leader. We're going to lead someone. We're going to lead our business to the promised land. And that's the idea. And that's that leadership mindset, is we're trying to go someplace different, not manage the things. That's very hard to do, especially if you're by yourself, if you don't have a coach, or if you're all alone as a leader, or you're all alone as a as a solo agent especially, it's very hard because it's very easy to slip into a scarcity-based mindset and fall out of abundance, get into scarcity, and just worry about all the problems you got to fix. Because that's oftentimes a lot easier to do than it is to go out and lead generate and grow your business and do business generation activities, recruit, things like that. It's much easier to say, I got to solve all these other people's problems. I got to take care of them first, whether it's my customers or the agents on my team or the agents in my office. It's much easier to say, I got to solve their problems first. I got to fix all that first. I can't grow right now. I'm not giving them enough. But the fact of the matter is, a good leader knows they have certain standards, they can only give so much. And this is top to bottom in real estate. I love how everything always relates from top to bottom, because you'll see broker owners get upset with agents for not doing their job. Why aren't you, and team leaders the same with agents? Like, why aren't you lead generating? Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to do? Why don't you do what I did? Why aren't you doing those business generation activities? Why aren't you getting your database and calling your people and blah, blah, blah? But yet they themselves, the people that aren't out there doing their business generation activities, they're not recruiting. They're saying, well, I don't have time to recruit. I don't have time to generate new business and open new businesses because I'm so busy solving these problems that my existing agents have. And the existing agents are doing the same thing. It's hilarious. Existing agents are like, well, I got to take care of my clients. I got to find my buyers a listing. I can't find them anything. So I got to just take care of them. I don't have time to try to get more buyers. I don't have time to try to get, I got to get my sellers listings sold. I don't have time to do anything else. So there's always a group of people, our herd, that represents the status quo that we're trying to manage, that also become the excuse why we can't lead and grow the organization to the place we want it to go. I don't care who you are. I don't even care. I can take us outside of real estate. I can go to any industry. It's this way. Leadership is letting the fires burn and not putting them out, and let some of them go while you lead yourself and or your organization to the goals that you set. And that's hard to do. That's why there's only a few leaders. That's why about 10% of the agents in any MLS do about 90% of the business. That's why the vast majority of brokerages do not succeed and barely support themselves. And the broker manager has to sell real estate, because if he didn't, the brokerage wouldn't cover its expenses. It's very few broker managers or owners that can step away and have a profitable brokerage. It is very few agents and teams that can step away and have the business run itself. There are very few leaders out there. And that's just the way it works, because it's hard to let the fires burn. It's hard to get into solution management. So with that said, leadership, I have found, can be broken down into 5 key components. And if you're leading your organization, and this could be your church, this could be any organization, there are 5 components that need to be in place. And I have a book called The High Performing Real Estate Team. It is a top seller, I'm proud to say now, or bestseller, I think they call it, on Amazon, and Inman News, the real estate news, ranked us as best book, I think, at 2022 or something when it came out. And in that book, I outlined the 5 key components of a high-performing team, but they're not limited to teams. They should be the 5 components of a high-performing organization, whether you're, like I said, solo agent all the way to broker owner. They apply to everybody, and they apply outside of real estate too. They apply to any organization. I've used this stuff with my church. I've actually literally conducted workshops with my church on these 5 key components. And I know others have too, as a matter of fact. So we do it all the time. Let me show you what those components are. These are them, and these are the 5 components of a team. And you can see our first one here is to create a viral goal. So yeah, we got to have a goal, but that goal has got to be viral. Okay, which means it's got to permeate the entire organization. You can't have a goal that gets you a lot of money that the rest of the organization, the people that work in your organization, aren't bought into. It better mean something to them. Okay, that's the key to a viral goal. And like, I give you an example. My favorite example is with the family unit, like a solo agent. You may have a goal to sell 100 houses and make $500,000 this year. But if your wife's not bought into that, if she views all of that work, or your spouse, I should say, if your spouse views all of that work, meaning that they're going to see you less and they're not bought into that, your team is not on board and you're going to be fighting your team the whole way through, possibly even to a divorce. So I don't know if you like your finish line if it means 500,000 plus a divorce. In a lot of states, that means 250,000. So that makes sense. So all that work for nothing. So again, everybody's got to be bought on board. It's got to be so big that it's viral. It runs through all the people on your team and they all know what they get out of it. Like, what do I get so we got to make it all about them. We got to focus on activities. That's number 2. We got to focus on activities. So in other words, it can't just be results based. Like, how are we doing year to date? What have we closed year to date? What's our gross commission year to date? How have we done so far today based on last year? How many do I currently have pending? Those are all results based. We can't do anything about those. Those have already occurred. Our focus of our organization has to be on activities. What should we be doing every day? How many recruiting appointments should we be having every week? How many contacts should we be making every day? How many social media posts should we be engaging with every week? How much new content for my blog? How many promotional videos am I shooting every single day? What are my goals around that? And am I doing it every single week? Those are present and immediate future activities that we know, or at least have a reasonable reliance or faith in, that will work and create results down the road. So we focus on activities by looking out the front windshield of the car so we can dictate where we're going because we're leaders trying to hit goals, as opposed to just looking in the rear view mirror at what we've already done that we can't really control anymore. So good organizations know to focus on activities. They don't just assess where we've been and then let things happen to us by default. Like, well, the business is down, so I'm down, and that's okay because there's less sales volume and there's less sales right now, so I'm not selling as much. That is what 90% of real estate agents do. The 10% that succeed and that do 90% of the business, they don't do that. They roll up their sleeves and increase their business generation activities to grow because they're growth minded. They do something about it. And there's only a few of them relative to everybody else. You want to be one, you start acting like them. We grow. And that's the idea. We focus on activities and we track those activities, right? Okay. So back to my 5 key components. We have a viral goal. We focus on activities. And then we also cultivate personal responsibility with public accountability. Personal responsibility with public accountability, which means we know that we need to do these uncomfortable things every day, these activities that we're focusing on to grow, whether it's calling our sphere of influence or reaching out and contacting recruits or posting a lot more on social media or engaging with others more on social media or having more events or attending more realtor events or whatever it is. Whatever we're supposed to be doing to grow the organization, it's usually uncomfortable. That's why we choose to put out fires all the time, because we don't want to go put ourselves out there and look vulnerable or look needy. So we go to the actual more comfortable thing, which is terribly negative because we're just managing, trying to hang on to things. Has a negative impact down the road on our psyche, our mentality, and our business and our goals, but we stay there. So we have to be self-aware that accountability is everything, but it's not going to happen personally. Personal responsibility is not going to happen without some degree of public accountability, because we're just not going to be able to hold ourselves personally responsible. It doesn't work. And if you don't believe that, then you should be making all the money and having all the free time in the world that you've got. But the fact of the matter is, we know that we can't hold ourselves accountable to do things. So what do? We get coaches. We have the entire team commit to certain activities. Like, it's hilarious how many real estate agents will go to work every day and tell their spouse they go to work every day, but just sit in the office all day and fiddle with things and not do anything to generate new business, which is what they tell their spouse they're doing. And then they go to work and don't try to make any money at all, or they don't do any activities that are reasonably correlated to bringing in new business. They just handle the existing business they have, if at all, and like attend classes and, surf social media and things like that. Or spending but they tell their spouse they're working. Wouldn't it be weird and vulnerable if your spouse knew how many contacts you made every day? Oh, now things might change. Wouldn't it be weird if the whole team knew what the team leader was trying to do every day and how they were trying to generate? All of a sudden, the team leader would have to start doing stuff. What if the broker owner's entire leadership staff knew the broker owner was supposed to be out there and getting in conversation to at least have initial recruiting appointments, get-to-knows with other agents in the MLS? Or the team leader was. What if that type of public accountability every single week, everybody saw every week, all of a sudden there'd be accountability for the leader to follow, not to mention all the other people in the organization with their activities. That's public accountability for personal responsibility, right? Then imagine a scenario where we turn around and that public accountability is shown on a team dashboard where we actually see the amount of recruiting appointments, the amount of coaching appointments, the amount of training sessions conducted, the amount of follow-up appointments, the amount of contacts made, the amount of social media posts made, the amount of events conducted, all the different things that generate business or personnel or market share in real estate. Imagine if all of that were on a team dashboard, and then we switch to number 5 down here, that the whole team gets together, whoever's on the team, and everybody gets naked. Like everybody literally is stripped naked and vulnerable, and everybody can see everything. Is everybody doing their job or not? See what I'm saying? All of a sudden, that creates some personal responsibility because of that public accountability on the dashboard, and everyone's getting visible. If you're saying, how am I going to make myself or my organization go forward? If you implement these 5 components where we get a viral goal where everyone's bought into the outcome of the goal, everybody focuses on the activities that's going to make us hit the goal, we get everybody personally responsible by holding them publicly accountable on a dashboard that we meet and look at and talk about every week, all of a sudden we start moving towards the goal. And your management skills are transformed into leadership skills by implementing 5 key components. Anytime that we coach, and we coach some of the highest performing brokerages and teams and agents across North America, the first thing we do is make sure all 5 of these things are running when new clients come in. We put these in place and we help people get through roadblocks with them. And when that happens, all of a sudden you see a metamorphosis occur where things just start humming and all the problems go away. They're there. People just ignore them because we've got other stuff to focus on. We're focused on growth, our contacts, and those types of things. Uptown problems, not downtown problems. And everybody gets positive and excited, and it creates a level of energy that you just can't replicate. And the culture all of a sudden becomes productive culture, positive culture, that we can control our outcomes. The 5 components are powerful to making someone a successful leader.